kibaro se watu mo sitambali ma wawai ali wuli kalina say what more say what more say what more ali wuli kalina abenya me ka fole nyam say what more say what more say what more abenya me ka fole nyam pamona la ka pomori jibelani la mulali kama ko kibaro say what more sitambali ma wawai ali wuli kalina say what more pamona la ka pomori jibelani la mulali kama ko kibaro say what more sitambali ma wawai ali wuli kalina say what more say what more I say what more say what more abenya me ka fole nyam say what more say what more I say what more abenya me ka fole nyam ule lota damdula temena kairo ni sewo almadala la yi ule lota temena say what more wait say what
ngo foy lafta mobile ndi wala ban simple mobile wala foy lafita latest mobile wala foy lafita smartphone wala ñin be ka sotale dabin wala bulli shop number 1 ando na lafta Samsung fanana asifa bele bije A series covering A01 A11 A21 A31 A41 ando ñin be mu 4G internet wala e manna da wala de lafta technology labang wala lafta itel la e kanyim be sotalele e ko Spark 4 Spark 5 and Spark 6 abele be ñin dulato ande manna da wala de e ko chargealo asifa wasifa mobile cover ani ñi mobile protector e nyaadalo abele be jindi krato bulli shop number 1 be tilinde ngale damin wala mu Brikama police station o nyaatile wala choju ba balaje wala badi ngolon kamune bato ali commande telephone la niatra lafta mobile
7799530 9957262
bulli shop wala nata kodande enen nyankudi ma tonya bulli shop nyoko West Coast kukuto nata de iko sayin kalla dibola wo bantale sayin kato ko munom sola battery le nata de nyinol dung e mambo dula kotangol to de e botale dan Angleterre le United Kingdom nko nyim battery le sanji tang ani lulu garanti ya wala soto andung niyetol soto dibo banta lumiere nata e koy kila inverter le fana wafile asifa wo sifa anin charging controller kata fo electrical bol minimo yalon ko AC and DC jumale ka wolu wafi nyinna mo ablay tike sanyante ala telefono 9928207 wala hansa ala commande WhatsApp 7502345 wala 3514068 tike ablay sanyang wala nata kaje ko ka West Coast nkolu dahandi ke bondi dibo kono ne amoy man kurango soto e manyen sola battery le soto way walla alngam borden tike ya katuko ntewo den te kundingo ndenganta tajele de ite kamune batu tike bali dami wolon bo station o nyatili wala GTSC former GPTC walla badi wolon kamune batu alim be ngatan no tike ya nganyu nyin sola battery la isaje ngabo dibo kono kumo bantala ko electronics walla nata de Brikama sate kono koteng badi ngolu electronics e bale damin wala mo Islamic Bank nyatili ngola Brikama sate kono electronics itol dung ika electronic jorango bele wafi mine boko channel lo complete setolu alla nyen satellite disco lu domonde malu ani waramambalu nyen television kutolu mine yalon ko wolle be jamano kono smart TV lu kata fo flat screen e manna da wala sola jorango lo itemol sifa wo sifa feŋo feŋ n'a ka dun sola kunto pour a ye mara i k'a bɛɛ le kɛ bari man n'a da wala de kando warta ko air conditioner min ke la buŋo kono sumayandi ani feŋo fe ye a lon ko electrical joraŋol loŋ faanalu ka taa fo radiolu ani bluetooth speakerlu ka taa fo bluetooth headphoneolu a bee le bi je
nka boliso wa fale na sifa wo sifa pasirdan ferolu dispensalu blendalu ka tape frijolu kurla masiŋolu ani cctv cameral
walla ka kuma koyo moy ñiŋ kuwolu bee to ali kumandi electronics
788-9398 618-9398 981-9398
toña toña electronics jele mutadu laate home digital fm mi yalon ko abale brikama sate kono bi kontanta bake bayring na lundam bale soto radio to jang mi yalon ko wolo mo american call la suti oti mi yalon ko wolo be banko kanjang mi yalon ko wolo mo US ambassador ti abe tamantama wala anata kana futanna radio to jang welcome to the studio.
Thank you for the welcome. Thank you for the hospitality. Very, very glad to be here today. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, we would. So many people don't know who is the American ambassador. Can you tell us your name, please?
Sure. My name is Richard Carl PASCHALL. I am the third, actually, so I go by my middle name, Carl, to avoid confusion with my grandfather and my father. So I go by Carl. But Carl PASCHALL. I arrived here in the Gambia on March the 14th, 2019. So been here for just a little bit over a year now, almost 2.5 years.
Almost two and a half years.
And here in Brikama today, this is the third day of a 3-day trip that we've taken up country to go visit voter registration sites and some other sites. In fact, was at the community radio station in Soma just yesterday. So it's always good to get out of Serakunda, out of Banjul, get up country to see part of the beautiful countryside, meet Gambians out in their villages, see what life is like out in the villages, and especially to see the voter registration process.
Okay. Since you are out to see the voter registration process, what's your impression of the voter registration so far?
Well, we visited 8 different sites between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We had also gone to other sites before that. I'll have to say I think the IEC has done a good job organizing the registration process. I just want to give a lot of credit to young Gambians that we met that are manning the registration sites. In fact, I've had several tell me they took their vacation time so that they could work for the IEC because they felt that the importance of the voter registration drive and their contribution to Gambian democracy was worth taking their vacation time from their regular jobs to go out. These are Gambians from all across the Gambia who are sent to different sites to work with the local akalos in the villages and local officials and the Gambian police to get people registered to vote. I've just been very impressed. They have a good process. It seems very clear. It seems very transparent. In talking with the different residents in the villages that we visited, the different registration sites, they seem very satisfied with the way the process is being handled. We've spoken with representatives of the different political parties that are at the registration sites, and they say that from their perspective, the process is very transparent and smooth. Anytime there have been any questions or issues, the IEC has addressed them. They don't dismiss them. They do address the concerns that arise. And so I think, by and large, I think the IEC should be credited for putting together a good registration process. And of course, it's up to the Gambians themselves to, with that enthusiasm, which we see at every registration site, people are very enthusiastic. When they get that voter registration card, they're very excited. And people are intent. They want to be able to cast their vote in the elections coming up beginning in December. And there's a lot of energy and enthusiasm behind that.
Okay, and what is the contribution of your country, the United States, to this exercise so far?
Yeah, thank you. We have been doing a lot of public messaging on the importance of the registration process. In fact, even beginning back in January 2020, and I was traveling up country, traveled up to Fototo and Basse and URR. We were talking with people, giving radio station interviews and things of that nature to encourage people to prepare, even that far in advance, and to look out for the opening of the voter registration period. So we've been doing a lot of messaging. We also have been providing technical advice and support to the IEC in terms of the IEC's planning and a lot of the IEC's own messaging around the elections process. So we've been supporting more in that way.
Okay.
And then also I should point out the United Nations agencies that are here in country are doing a lot. And the United States, for most of those agencies, is the single largest budgetary contributor, including to the United Nations Development Program, which is working extremely hard to support the government of the Gambia's electoral processes. I give a lot of credit to our colleagues and our teammates at UNDP.
Okay. And this exercise is about participatory democracy.
Yes.
How important is it for the United States that every eligible Gambian get these voters card?
Well, we do think that it's absolutely important for any eligible Gambian to go and to register to vote. And I do think it's important that people understand that that is the opportunity to have a say in who gets elected to lead the country. And that's not just the presidential elections, as you know. In fact, arguably perhaps more important are the local and parliamentary elections. Wanting your local representative for your constituency in the National Assembly is extremely important. National Assembly members are really the direct representatives of the people. They are elected by the people, and they are the ones accountable back to their constituencies. And so I certainly know that I've met many members of the National Assembly. They take their duties very responsibly. And I think as many Gambians have told me, they've appreciated the fact that the National Assembly has really questioned the government on many aspects of legislation that has been proposed, the government budget. They posed some very good, sound questions in representing the interest of their constituents. And I do think that that's a very important process. But no, absolutely vital. And it's up to the individual Gambian citizen to make sure they get to the registration site with the proper documentation to get registered to vote. To get a registration card is free, doesn't cost you a single dalasi. You just have to have the right identity documents or an attestation from your alcalde. And so this is very important.
Okay. Do you have, as far as the voter registration is ongoing, do you have any concerns so far?
The only concern I have is that the end of registration process is the 11th of July, and I want to make sure that all Gambians who want to get registered to vote, get registered to vote. So my concern is just one of time. I think we've seen an impressive number of Gambians coming out to register already, but there are quite a few who haven't yet made it. I know some people have told me they've simply been too busy with work and other obligations, and they do plan to go later. But I do recommend that people go sooner rather than later and to get into the registration process.
And what will be the key priority for the U.S. government, through the U.S. Embassy for the December polls?
Well, our primary interest is ensuring that there is a clear, credible, transparent electoral process, that the different parties that are involved abide by the IEC's Code of Conduct. It would be great to see all of the political parties make a public statement that they will adhere to the Code of Conduct in order to make this a competitive process. We also, of course, are very, very interested in seeing that this be a competition of ideas, that the different parties, the different candidates present to the Gambian people, the Gambian voters themselves, why they think they deserve the votes of the Gambian people, as to what their agenda is for the country, where they believe they can lead the country in the future. And obviously for us, getting Gambians themselves to weigh into this process, to become active in their own civic governance is really important for us. So we've done a lot of engagement, especially at the senior secondary school level, about civics and engagement and involvement, community service, all of those things that are really important.
Okay. And the U.S. has always been a big brother to the rest of the world, including the Gambia, when it comes to democracy in general. Looking at what happened in the U.S. election when Trump and his supporters attempted to bring disrepute into disrepute, does the U.S. lost its legitimacy as a global custodian of democratic principles?
No, I don't think at all. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the opportunity to answer that question. No, I don't think so at all. I think in point of fact, what the real question is what happened. So what occurred that night is Congress reconvened and completed their duty, just as former Vice President Mike Pence has said. They upheld their duty under the Constitution to duly certify the votes from the people across the United States in the different localities. As you know, in our system, we have 50 states plus several territories. where votes take place, and those votes are certified by those state legislatures and the state board of elections, and the different ways that they do that. And it's been very, very important, I think, to demonstrate that that is that commitment to democracy, that is that commitment to democratic principles, and that's exactly what happened that day.
Okay. Okay. In the past, also there was lack of confidence in the electoral process, due to dictatorship tendency, and we understand that U.S. Has been sending election monitors and invigilators to other countries. Is that going to happen here come December?
You mean assistance for the election?
For the elections,
well, we
yes.
are actually already contributing in that, through provision of advice and expertise, as well as provision of messaging.
No, I mean
to
observers, election observers.
Oh, observers, yes. Oh, yeah, no, of course, thank you. Just like we're out now.
Yes.
I didn't wear my voter registration observer card. I should have worn that in.
Yes, okay.
We will, yes, we will have observer teams. We plan, we are working through USAID, as you know, is based in Dakar, but they have something called the Sahel Regional Office, and Dr. Zarek Smith heads up that effort.
Okay.
And he was just here in the Gambia about a month and a half ago to present at a health survey with the Ministry of Health. But we are working with USAID to field observer teams across the country. We expect to have a handful of U.S. government personnel as well as outside experts come in sometime in the late November timeframe to field our observer effort. And again, I have to credit the IEC. Getting our observer credentials for the voter registration process was very straightforward, very efficient. They responded very quickly, and the government of the Gambia has embraced the importance of having independent observers.
Okay, we agree that every eligible Gambian have the right to vote, but then unfortunately, Gambians in the diaspora would not vote this year. Are you concerned about that?
Well, I think it's a big challenge for a country the size of the Gambia. It's a small country, and the government is working to get a better handle on the debt situation in the country. But I think it's a very big challenge to establish a mechanism by which diaspora Gambians can vote while staying outside the country. I have spoken with several different persons from other countries in other parts of Africa where they are working and resident outside of their home countries, but they are able under their laws to return to their home country at the election time. And as long as they have a valid national identity card, the biometric ID card, or a valid they call it e-passport from their home country, they are allowed to cast a ballot in their home. So that this person had to fly back into Entebbe Airport and then 220 kilometers to get to her village to cast her ballot. But no, I am concerned that it's an important priority, and I have heard this as a priority also for government authorities, that they need to develop a system that is sound, that is transparent, is accessible to Gambians in the diaspora. And that would potentially include, the challenge being, of course, it may be that they would have to come back here to cast their ballot. And I think that any Gambian who is able to be here, there should be a mechanism in place. And I do know this is a priority of the government. I know that they're looking at how to do this, and to do this effectively in a cost-effective fashion, but to ensure that Gambians in the diaspora can, in fact, have access to the polls. So I don't know that it will be in time for the December 2021 election, but certainly expect that this will be a priority in the coming years.
And finally, what would be your advice, your general advice to Gambians, especially they head into the polls in December? What would be your general advice?
Well, first and foremost, I think the message is this should be a competition of ideas. This isn't a battle, it's not a war, this is a competition of ideas. These are Gambians who have put themselves forward on the public stage, who are asking Gambian citizens to cast their ballot, to put their marble in their barrel, to vote for them, to be their representative, whether in State House or whether in the National Assembly or whether in local government. And I think it's important that Gambians ask the tough questions, respectfully. Gambians always are respectful. I've had a lot of tough questions come my way, including yours, but they're always respectfully asked. And ask the candidates to explain why they deserve their vote. What is it that they have accomplished or propose to accomplish that proves that they are worthy of that confidence of the voters? So first is ask the tough questions. Don't just throw in for somebody because your friend likes them or something like that. You know, really come up to your own mind. But make it a competition of ideas, not a war, not a battle, a competition of ideas. Make sure it stays peaceful. Be respectful. When there are concerns or questions, there are authorities. The IEC takes their job extremely seriously. Read the news reports of the incident yesterday in the village. And again, IEC can help resolve that. People have to be a little patient. They have to ask for the IEC authorities to come and resolve that situation. There are mechanisms to do that, to do it peacefully and without violence. So, you know, again, this is a competition of ideas. Remember, the Gambia is all one Gambia. You may have many different regions, many different villages, different tribes, but you know, it's one Gambia. And this is all Gambians who are looking for a brighter future, to reinforce their basic fundamental human rights, as you know, and also the democratic principles that Gambians hold dear, and then looking at obviously a future economic agenda for future prosperity, to grow jobs, so that right here at home, so the Gambians can contribute to the building of their nation right here at home.
Thank you very much. Now a question out of the voter registration. Since you've been here for couple of years now, 2019, as far as integration is concerned, Mr. Ambassador, can you tell us what have been your favorite Gambian dish?
Okay, so first and foremost, I have to say Gambian food is fantastic. So my very favorite, I think it's because my grandfathers grew up on very small farms, and they would grow groundnuts, peanuts. I have to admit, I love domado. Domado, the spicy peanut is just wonderful. But I have not had a Gambian dish that I don't like. So domado is probably my favorite. Super ganja is maybe next. You know, who doesn't like a good yassa?
Good yassa.
And I will say, I think benachin is better than chebajin. And my Gambian,
more of the same, benachin and chebajin.
You know, my Gambian colleagues at the embassy, when I came back from Dakar in July 2019, we were talking, and they said, how'd the trip go? And I said, it was good. They said, what did you have to eat? I said, oh, I had chebajin, but it's not as good as benachin. But they said, Ambassador, it's the same thing. I said, no, it's not. I said, benachin is made on the Smiling Coast. It's made with a smile. It just tastes better. So no, benachin, akra, I love akra.
Okay.
You know, anyway, no, I have not yet had a Gambian dish that I did not think was really delicious. And I think it's partially because everything is made fresh.
Fresh, yeah.
Nothing is processed. It's not done, you know, it's very fresh vegetables from the garden, fresh meats. It's just really fantastic. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, but domado is my favorite.
Okay, and finally, what would be your favorite Gambian phrase? Because my favorite Gambian phrase is no problem.
But do you say that in English, or do you say that?
Yeah, I say that in English, no problem. And what is your favorite Gambian phrase?
You know, I have to admit, I know I've spoken with people who told me that it you know, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, the common greeting was not salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Now the common greeting is salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum, yes.
And you know, I've said this many times. I was a diplomat in Saudi Arabia. My very first diplomatic posting was in Jeddah.
Oh.
I also served in N'Djamena, Chad, significant Muslim population there as well. I like a country where you're wishing peace to those people you come in contact with.
Yeah.
So I do like salam alaikum. I think it's a nice way to say hello.
Thank you very much, Carl, Your Excellency, and we really appreciate for you to visit Home Digital FM. Visiting Home FM Sue Radio is visiting the entire Brikama, because everybody will be hooked onto their radio listening to you. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate the hospitality. It's great to be here at Home Digital FM. Great to be in Brikama. Really appreciate the opportunity, and look forward to talking to you again as the electoral process unfolds. Let's do it again.
We look forward to have you here on a one-on-one interview about current affairs, current issues.
Happy to do it.
Yes, we'll do that as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Carl.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ngo foy lafta mobile ndi wala ban simple mobile o walla foy lafita latest mobile o walla foy lafita smartphone o la ñil be ka sotale davin wala bulli shop number 1 ti ando na lafta Samsung fanana asifa bele bije A series kabring A01 A11 A21 A31 A41 ando ñil be mu 4G internet o let e manna da wala de a lefta technology la bang wala lefta itel la e kanyimbe sotalele e ko spark 4 spark 5 and spark 6 abele be nyindulato ande manna da wala de e ko chargerlu asifa wasifa mobile cover ani nyi mobile protector e nyaadalu abele be jindi krato bulli shop number 1 be tilinde ngale damin wala mu birkama police station o nyaatilo wala choju babala je wala badi ngolon kamune bato ali commande telephone la niatra lafta mobile
7799530 9957262
bulli shop wala nata kodande enin nyankudi ma tonya bulli shop nyoko
Mengbe Kering
nkafo wala nyama
Sunu na
minje
nkafo wala nyama Mengbe Kering
ka sata wala nyama
Vamos nala kapo moli jiberani na mulani kama kukibaro se watu mo sitambalima Ali uli kalina se watu mo Vamos nala kapo moli jiberani na mulani kama kukibaro se watu mo sitambalima Wawai Ali uli kalina se watu mo se watu mo se watu mo Ali uli kalina Abenyame kapole